All right. Again, this diagram again, consider the graph. This graph has got 5 vertices and 6 edges. All right. And it is a simple graph because I have not considered parallel edges. I have not considered self loops. I have not considered the isolated vertex, but of course I have considered a pendant vertex because it is still connected. It is a connected graph. So one can read the graph. Now let me see how to read this graph. Okay. So my next part is a slow transition into representation of the graph. Okay. Let's see how we can read the graph. Is that visible or is that visible? Okay. Let's go. So let's see how to read the graph. One can read the graph in the following way. See that I have put that read in the within the quote marks. Consider a vertex. You just consider a vertex, any vertex. Okay. Consider any vertex. Find out the edges connected to this vertex. Let us see. I consider V1. Find out the edges which are connected to V1. E5 is connected. E1 is connected. All right. Find out V4. E5 is connected. E2 is connected. E4 is connected. E6 is connected. So, in other words, technically, find out the edges incident on that vertex. Okay, find out the edges incident on that vertex. So, on V4, E5, E2, E4, and E6 are incident. Let me see that. So, for instance, V1 has the incidences of E1 and E5. V2 has E1, E2, E3 incident upon V2. E4 and E3 are incident upon V3. E5, E2, E4, E6 are incident upon V4. And on V5, only E6 is incident. Okay. Okay. One step further, simple, very simple. Consider V4, E5, E2, E4, E6 are incident. Now let me see. Here, if I write down E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6 and write down V4 and then make it a 0, 1 matrix like this. So in this, E1 is not present, so 0. E2 is present, there is 1. E3 is not present, 0. E4 is present, 1. E5 is present, 1. And E6 is present, 1. Therefore, the incidence for V4 becomes a 1 into 6 representation. What is 6? 6 is the total number of edges present in the graph. And out of the total number of edges present in the graph, zeros represent non-present edges and ones represent edges which are incident upon this vertex. Is it okay? Good. Therefore, it is a simple 0, 1 representation. Okay, so you call it as a vector. Okay, so it is a vector of incidence. All right, it is a vector. It has got a finite length. The length is finite. Of course, the incidence is not finite, but the length of representation is finite. Okay, 1 cross 6 representation. So for V2, V2 has incidences E1, E2, E3. So E1, E2, E3, whereas E4, E5, E6 are not present at all. All right. So it has got a 1 into 6 representation. Okay. So V4 has 1 into 6 representation. So similarly, V1 has 1 into 6 representation. V2 has 1 into 6, 1 into 6, 1 into 6, 1 into 6. And putting all of them together, I can write down a 2D representation. I can merge all such 5 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1 into 6 representation, giving a overall 5 cross 6 matrix. Okay, a 2D matrix, a overall 5 cross 6 matrix. So this is V1. All right, what did I do? I picked up V1 and found out which are the edges incident. I picked up V2, found out which are the edges which are incident. V3, V4, and V5. That becomes a representation. All right. So that becomes, now you think of whatever the way you would like to represent. You think of whatever the data structure. Now, of course, assignments I come little later, but now just you understand that this is the graph representation. Now, what have we considered here? The edges incident on a very vertex. Therefore, this is called an incidence matrix and is represented as A. A stands for incidence matrix. So this matrix scanned horizontally. You remember I scanned it horizontally, right? So that this horizontal scanning would give me the edges which are incident on a particular vertex. So every horizontal scanning represents the incidence of edges on a vertex. So this matrix scanned horizontally lists the edges incident on a vertex. Therefore, it is called incident matrix. Size of this matrix is there are n vertices, so there must be n rows, and there are e edges, there must be e number of columns. So it is vertex edge incident matrix. Vertex edge incidence matrix. Is that clear? I hope